the 12 most mysterious and shocking archaeological discoveries in recent years that left experts baffled. Welcome back to 10 Minutes Discovery. For thousands of years, human history has remained a mysterious veil. We've uncovered magnificent pyramids, lost cities, and even skeletons buried for millennia. But what happens when archaeological discoveries leave even the experts speechless? In today's video, we'll embark on a journey to explore 12 of the most mysterious and shocking archaeological finds in recent years. Discoveries that not only challenge what we think we know, but also raise countless unanswered questions. From giant human skeletons hidden deep in the jungle to ancient devices that seem straight out of science fiction, each discovery carries secrets that have stunned the world. Are you ready? Brace yourself, because what you're about to hear might completely change the way you view the past of humankind. And if you enjoy this kind of content and want to support me in continuing to research, edit, and deliver high-quality videos like this one, please consider donating via the thanks section. Every bit of your support, no matter how small, goes a long way in helping this journey of uncovering humanity's mysteries continue without end. Now let's dive right in. Strange sounds from an ancient well in China. You've probably heard plenty of mysterious stories surrounding ancient structures, places where the past still seems to whisper into the present. But the story I'm about to tell you is even more extraordinary. A mysterious 6-year journey that began with strange thudding noises echoing from an old well located in the middle of a modern town in Shanghai, China. It all started in Baihei town, where residents living near an ancient well began to hear unusual sounds coming from deep underground. The noises, rhythmic thump-thump sounds like distant drums, confused and even frightened many locals. No one could explain the strange phenomenon. Eventually, the Shanghai Cultural Relics Bureau stepped in, and in 2010, an official archaeological team was dispatched to investigate. What was expected to be a simple inspection turned into a 6-year excavation to uncover the full truth. As they began digging, archaeologists found the well to be over 16 feet deep. Etched into the bricks lining the well were the names of ancient craftsmen, an incredibly rare detail that held great archaeological value. But that was just the beginning. Beneath the soil, they uncovered numerous fragments of porcelain, fire bricks, stoves, wall foundations, all remnants of a once vast ancient structure. Clues started to emerge. Through historical records, experts determined that a well of this size and design typically existed only at temples or monasteries during the Song dynasty. Digging into old texts, they discovered that, at this exact location during the Song era, there once stood a temple named Longping Temple. This temple was a sacred symbol closely tied to Qinglong Town, the former name of present-day Baihei. It wasn't until 2016, after multiple excavations and careful analysis, that archaeologists finally located an underground palace situated directly beneath the pagoda of Longping Temple. This find shocked the archaeological community. Inside lay tens of thousands of ancient coins ranging from the Han to the Song dynasties, silently buried for centuries, a vivid testament to the area's once glorious past. But that wasn't the most remarkable treasure. Within the palace, archaeologists found silver spoons, bronze mirrors, a statue of Shakyamuni Buddha, a silver turtle statue, and most notably, a sacred Buddhist relic container. This ornate box was crafted from 5 layers of materials: stone, wood, iron, silver, and gold. Inside was a bronze vessel inlaid with silver script, containing 4 sacred relic pearls of the Buddha. While it may not be as extravagant as the 8-layered box at Famen Temple or the 7-layered one at Zhaoyang North Pagoda, the historical and spiritual significance of this 5-layered container is beyond debate. From a single mysterious well, a lost temple buried for centuries was brought back to life. This discovery also confirms what some historians had long suspected. The ancient town of Qinglong, once located by the Lijiang River with access to the sea, was a bustling port of trade, a point of connection between China and the wider world. Longping Temple had served as a cultural and religious hub until, for unknown reasons, it was swallowed by time, its memory preserved only in ancient manuscripts. Now, through this mysterious well, everything has been validated. As you can see, history doesn't just live in books. Sometimes it echoes through strange sounds in everyday life, waiting patiently for someone curious and passionate enough to listen. Who knows? Beneath your very feet, there may be an unwritten chapter of human history, still waiting to be uncovered. Do you believe there are still countless secrets hidden beneath the ground we walk on? Let us know in the comments below. A 2,400-year-old meal, still visually delicious. Imagine walking past an ordinary middle school, just another place where students go about their daily lessons. But then, right under the seemingly peaceful ground, you discover 400 ancient tombs packed beneath the soil. Sounds like a scene from an adventure movie, right? But it's not fiction. This actually happened in 2014 at Jingzhou Middle School in Hubei Province, China. During a construction project to expand the campus, a work crew accidentally uncovered a massive burial site with over 400 tombs from various periods in Chinese history, some dated as far back as the Warring States period, while others were from the Tang and Song dynasties, centuries of history buried beneath the very ground where children played every day. What stunned archaeologists the most wasn't just the scale, but the astonishing preservation and cultural richness of the tombs. One stood out above the rest. A Warring States-era tomb from the Zhou dynasty, which turned out to be the most fully furnished burial site discovered in the area. When the tomb chamber was opened, experts found themselves inside what looked like a miniature ancient weapons museum, filled with bows, swords, armor, and even early gun-like devices. Each artifact was exquisitely crafted, suggesting the tomb belonged to a high-ranking general of the Zhou dynasty. Based on the quantity and type of weapons, scholars believe this was the final resting place of a distinguished military commander, a figure of real historical importance. But the surprises didn't end there. As the excavation continued, researchers found rare artifacts like ancient wine jars, silk paintings, and bronze ritual vessels. These finds hinted that the tomb wasn't just militaristic in nature, it also reflected the cultural life of the ancient nobility. However, the most jaw-dropping discovery wasn't a weapon or a jewel. It was a dish of food, 13 salted fish, carefully placed in boxes above the coffin. Initially, due to their unusual texture and color, experts mistook them for ancient textiles. But upon closer inspection, they realized these were real preserved fish, still intact, not decomposed, after 2,400 years underground. To put it in perspective, salted fish typically lasts around 6 months under ideal conditions. Yet these had survived over 2 millennia in a damp, decay-prone environment, leaving scientists baffled. It's considered one of the most unique discoveries in archaeological history, showcasing the incredible preservation techniques of ancient times. Researchers are still trying to understand how such preservation was even possible. Since its unveiling, this miraculous meal has become a major attraction at artifact exhibitions, drawing thousands of curious visitors and going viral on Chinese social media. Many netizens joked, "If salted fish can last 2,400 years, it must be top-shelf quality." And you, would you want to see these perfectly preserved ancient fish for yourself? Mass grave of mummies in Peru. Not far from Lima, the capital of Peru, at an ancient archaeological site known as Pachacamac, archaeologists from the Free University of Brussels, Belgium, made a stunning discovery. A mass grave containing around 80 skeletons, buried deep underground among ruins that had seemingly been silent for centuries. What stood out was the cloth wrapping around the bones. This was no ordinary death. The individuals had been mummified through elaborate ceremonial rituals. Most striking were 2 skeletons curled into fetal positions. No coincidence. This was a distinct burial practice of the Ixma people, a civilization that ruled this area for more than 500 years before the Inca conquest in the 15th century. For the Ixma, death was not the end. It was a journey of rebirth back to Mother Earth. They built one of the largest and most sacred cities in the region, with Pachacamac serving as a major religious center for nearly 2,000 years. Pilgrims from across the Andes traveled here to pray, make offerings, and seek divine guidance from ancient gods. However, the recently unearthed tomb didn't contain just adult remains, likely pilgrims who tragically died on their quest for salvation, but also the skeletons of many children. According to scientists, these children likely did not die of natural causes. They may have been sacrificed to the gods, a grim yet common practice in ancient civilizations, based on the belief that the life of a child was the purest offering to ensure favorable weather or ward off disasters. Inside the tomb, archaeologists also discovered a carved wooden head and a clay face mask, both highly symbolic ritual items. These artifacts were not for decoration. The Uxma believed that such items would help guide the spirits of the dead through the afterlife and into paradise. Yet, one of the biggest challenges for experts is this: the Uxma left behind no written records, no texts, no inscriptions, only objects, architecture, and remnants scattered in the earth. This makes it incredibly difficult to identify the individuals buried or understand the precise roles of the artifacts found with them. In the few remaining ancient illustrations, we see depictions of Uxma devotees climbing the temple steps of Pachacamac, carrying hope, pain, and reverence. And now, with the discovery of this mass grave, it's as if their voices, the voices of the long departed, are finally being heard in the modern era, reminding us that no matter how many centuries pass, history always finds a way to return. The 2,600-year-old tomb of a young warrior girl. Can you believe that in the remote, icy plains of Central Asia, where time feels frozen, there still lie secrets that could reshape our understanding of history? One such discovery was made in 1988 in the Republic of Tuva, a small region nestled between Russia and Mongolia. What initially appeared to be a simple ancient tomb containing a partially mummified body, assumed to be a young boy, actually held within it an untold epic buried for millennia. And only recently has that story finally begun to emerge. Researchers from the Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology conducted a genetic analysis on the mummy. The results stunned the scientific community. The body wasn't male, but female. A young girl, only about 12 to 13 years old. But she wasn't just any girl. She was a Scythian warrior, echoing the legendary female heroes of ancient myths and epic tales. She wasn't buried in silk dresses, but rather in a fur coat stitched from the pelts of jerboas, small rodents native to the steppes, and wore a leather cap, traditional attire of the steppe dwellers. Most strikingly, she was buried with a full set of weapons: a birchwood bow, 10 wooden arrows, and a long-handled axe. Tools meant not for decoration, but for war. These details align perfectly with ancient accounts by Hippocrates, the renowned Greek physician. In his writings from around 460 to 370 BCE, he described a group of Scythian women warriors, fierce, relentless, and equal to any man in battle. These women were trained from a young age and were required to remain virgins until they had killed at least 3 enemies. Only after fulfilling this sacred combat ritual could they marry. For them, war wasn't just duty, it was pride, identity, and purpose. Historians have long debated whether the legendary warrior women of Greek mythology truly existed, but this discovery in Tuva may be the most compelling evidence yet that they did, not just in stories, but as real people of flesh and blood, driven by ideals and engaged in life and death struggles. Though the exact cause of this young warrior's death remains unclear, the way she was buried, with full battle gear, leads archaeologists to believe she fell in combat. Thus, she was laid to rest with honor, as was the tradition for fallen warriors of the ancient world. What makes this find so extraordinary is not just the age of the mummy or the warrior's grave goods, but the story buried with her. A girl still in early adolescence, shouldering the weight of combat, honor, ideals, and the societal expectations of her time. She was no princess in a palace, no muse at a window. She was a true warrior, one who carved her name into the silent pages of history with her very life. Today, as the world re-examines the role of women throughout history, discoveries like this aren't just of archaeological interest. They are voices from the past, reminding us that women have always been central to humanity's story, even if history once forgot them. And who knows, somewhere beneath the vast wind-swept steppes, other warriors like the Tuva girl may still be waiting, silently, for their story to be told. Have you ever thought history could change with just a single drop of blood, analyzed thousands of years later? I absolutely believe it can. The 1,400-year-old Maya stucco relief in Guatemala. Roughly 370 miles north of Guatemala City in Petén Province, archaeologists discovered an ancient tower, and most notably, a massive stucco relief mounted on its facade. Measuring about 26 feet long and 6.5 feet high, this masterpiece reflects a stunning level of sophistication in Maya art and architecture over 1,500 years ago. What's remarkable is not only its size, but also its content. The relief depicts three deified figures, a hallmark of Maya civilization's spiritual and artistic traditions. According to Francisco Estrada Belli, a renowned Guatemalan archaeologist, this find could reshape our understanding of the architectural and symbolic significance of Maya structures. The relief is far more than just decoration. It serves as evidence of how the Maya deified important figures, likely kings or heroic individuals from their history. Belli notes that this discovery is especially meaningful given the human remains previously found in the surrounding excavation area. This supports the idea that this location once held immense importance within ancient Maya society. The Maya civilization, one of the most brilliant in the Americas, thrived for thousands of years. The Maya, an indigenous people of Mesoamerica, built a culture marked by incredible achievements in architecture, mathematics, and astronomy. Their structures, towering pyramids, sprawling temples, and precisely aligned observatories, still captivate visitors and researchers today. Across modern-day Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, we can find the legacy of this once great civilization in the form of ancient towers, sacred altars, carved stelae, and other spectacular monuments. These ruins are not just testaments to Maya engineering, but to their scientific brilliance and deep spiritual life. But why is this relief so important? The answer may lie in how the Maya merged art and architecture to convey authority, divinity, and social hierarchy. They didn't just build monumental structures, they adorned them with symbolic carvings that elevated the status of rulers and heroes into near-divine figures. This stucco relief likely played a role in ceremonial rituals honoring such figures, giving us a glimpse into how the Maya commemorated and immortalized their leaders. Its discovery isn't just a major advancement in Maya archaeology, it opens new windows into daily life, belief systems, and religious practices of the ancient Maya. Were these deified figures kings, great warriors, priests of high standing? These are questions scholars will continue to investigate for years to come. 500-year-old mummy of a woman discovered in South Korea. Recently, researchers made a shocking discovery. The 500-year-old mummy of a woman believed to be the wife of a high-ranking official during the Joseon dynasty. The story began when a team of scholars and researchers from the Seokyung Institute of Cultural Heritage unearthed the mummy at a construction site in an industrial zone in Osan, about 34 miles south of Seoul. The discovery stunned not only scientists, but also the general public. Found in a wooden coffin, the woman stood approximately 5 feet 1 inch tall and was remarkably well preserved, thanks to the unique burial rituals practiced during the Joseon era. According to experts, the coffin was more than just a resting place. It served as a gateway to secrets from a glorious historical period. Researchers believe, based on her clothing and hairstyle, that the woman may have been a noble figure who lived in the 16th century under the Joseon dynasty. This theory is supported by engravings on the coffin that suggest the rank and title of her husband within the government. While most mummies are buried with valuable items, the handbag found with her seemed to be the most important possession, highlighting the special care and attention given to her burial. The mummy amazed researchers not only because of its state of preservation, but also due to the personal items found alongside it, including a ceramic jar, a comb, and hairpins, all considered precious during that time. Another remarkable aspect was the Joseon-era clothing found inside the coffin, giving scholars a deeper understanding of women's fashion and lifestyles of that period. Kim Woo-rim, head of the excavation team, stated that this is one of the rare finds where a mummy is preserved in near-perfect condition. This allowed the research team to conduct in-depth analyses on life during the early days of the Joseon dynasty. Preliminary findings also suggest that the woman may have died from a chronic illness, as indicated by her thin face and frail body. One notable characteristic of Korean mummies is that their internal organs are left intact, unlike Egyptian mummification practices where the organs were typically removed. Preserving the organs not only helps prevent decomposition, but also provides a unique opportunity for scientists to study ancient diseases, dietary habits, and treatment methods. John Sung-ho, a researcher at the Seokyung Institute, explained that this discovery aligns with the typical burial customs of the Joseon dynasty. Nobles were often interred in airtight coffins covered with plaster, creating a vacuum-like environment that preserved the body. As a result, these mummies offer invaluable opportunities to reconstruct the lives and cultures of people during a dynamic historical era. With each such discovery, We are not only awed by the wonders of the past, but reminded that every historical fragment has the potential to tell the story of a civilization, a dynasty, and the individuals who lived through it. Ancient giant stone traps of the desert. In the 1920s, while flying patrol missions over the Middle East, Royal Air Force pilots stumbled upon strange shapes stretching across the desert landscapes of Israel, Jordan, and Egypt. From the sky, they resembled massive, motionless kites resting in the sand. Initially, no one understood their purpose, but over time, these mysterious desert kites began to astonish scientists, who discovered thousands of similar structures extending from the Arabian Peninsula and Sinai all the way to southeastern Turkey. These were not drawings or religious sites. They were, in fact, gigantic stone traps built thousands of years ago to hunt wild animals. Each kite was a complex structure made of two low stone walls that extended outward and gradually funneled inward, forming a V-shape or funnel-like configuration. At the narrow end of the kite was either a circular pit or an earthen corral, ranging from a few yards to several hundred yards in diameter. The stone walls themselves could stretch for miles, a testament to the ancient builders' deep understanding of animal behavior and terrain. It wasn't until 2011 that Israeli and American archaeologists found undeniable evidence of these structures' true function. In a large pit located in northeastern Syria, at the end of one such kite, they discovered numerous bones of the goitered gazelle, a once common hoofed animal in the region. The remains dated back to the 4th millennium BCE, offering direct proof that prehistoric humans used these traps to herd, capture, and slaughter groups of gazelles. The kites were constructed as early as 8000 BCE and were in use through roughly 4000 to 2000 BCE, predating even the pyramids of Giza. Ancient builders didn't place them randomly. They selected flat areas between mountain ridges or along dry riverbeds, places wild animals frequently passed through. In some sites, instead of an earthen corral, they dug deep pits, between 20 and 50 feet deep, and built gentle ramps leading down to lure animals in. These ramps gave the illusion of an escape route, but in reality, they prevented the animals from gaining enough momentum to leap out, trapping them inside and making them easy targets for hunters. So how did ancient people manage to capture entire herds of gazelles without jeeps or modern firearms? They had their own answers. Hunts were not solo ventures. Groups of hunters worked in coordination to drive the animals into the kite's mouth, funneling them down the narrowing path. As the animals tired and were cornered against the walls, they either fell into pits or were unable to scale barriers, at which point the slaughter began. The meat was divided, hides were stripped, and everything was transported back to settlements, a fully organized and calculated hunting system. Surprisingly, this method of hunting goitered gazelles continued sporadically into the 19th and early 20th centuries. Once widespread across Middle Eastern deserts, the goitered gazelle is now found only in small numbers within nature reserves, becoming a symbol of how nature has changed under human influence. From once being aerial mysteries to now vivid archaeological evidence, these desert kites reveal the ingenuity, intelligence, and survival instincts of ancient humans. In the middle of arid lands, they created a hunting machine made of stone, operating without technology, relying solely on human intellect and patience. Truly an astonishing feat, isn't it? The ancient temples of prophecy. In the windswept, rocky region of Gegorot in the Republic of Armenia, archaeologists have recently announced the discovery of 3 ancient temples built over 3,300 years ago within a hilltop fortress. What makes them remarkable is not just their age, but their mysterious purpose. According to archaeologists, these temples once served as centers for astrological rituals, places where ancient people attempted to connect with the future through mystical ceremonies. Each temple within the Gegorot fortress was designed with simplicity, a single-room layout, but layered with deep symbolic meaning. At the center of each was a sunken clay basin filled with ceramic vessels and ashes, remnants of sacred rituals once performed there. Archaeologists also uncovered horned clay deity figurines, incense burners for ritual materials, ancient seals, and especially marked animal bones, all pointing to a past where the line between the material world and the divine was blurred. According to researchers Adam Smith and Jeffrey Leon, these temples were likely used by the ruling class to conduct ceremonies aimed at foreseeing the future, an essential component of power in that era. In their article published in the American Journal of Archaeology, they wrote, "In the logic of divination, the past, present, and future are linked, allowing the current situation to be connected to outcomes that could be altered." As a result, at Gegero, ancient people developed at least 3 distinct forms of divination, each with its own strict rituals and tools. Osteomancy involved using elbow bones of cattle, sheep, or goats. These bones were burned or marked, and then their cracks or shapes were interpreted to foretell the future. Lithomancy relied on multicolored pebbles, which were cast into patterns that were read for omens, based on the belief that the random arrangements were guided by divine forces. Alluromancy, or divination using flour, was often associated with wheat or cereal grains. The flour could be written with, scattered, or burned in ceremonial rites. Interestingly, all these rituals were closely tied to wine and fire. Ancient participants would drink wine, burn offerings, and chant during the ceremonies, forming a solemn, mystical form of communication with the gods. These rites were not only for divination, but also served to assert power, accessible only to the elite ruling class. The Geggerot fortress was not just a defensive structure. It may have once been the most important religious center of an ancient regime. However, archaeologists have yet to determine the official name of this civilization or identify its leaders. Much remains hidden beneath the dust of time, awaiting discovery. Yet through these 3 hilltop temples, we can clearly see one thing. From the dawn of history, humans have always sought answers to the unknown, past, present, and future. Rituals using bones, stones, and flour weren't mere superstition. They were expressions of a deep desire to control destiny and understand the laws that govern the world. The mysterious traces of archaic humans. Have you ever thought that the story of human origins has already been fully written? That all of us are simply descendants of a single lineage that originated in Africa? If so, a groundbreaking discovery from the Altai Mountains in Russia may challenge that belief. Deep within the ancient layers of the Denisova Cave, one of the world's most renowned archaeological sites, Russian paleoanthropologists unearthed the remains of a previously unknown type of archaic human. When they analyzed the genetic material from the bones, they made a stunning discovery. 17% of the genome matched that of Neanderthals, but more surprisingly, 4% came from an unidentified hominin species, one that had never appeared in any known fossil record. It was as if humanity had just been introduced to a new, mysterious ancestor in the complex tree of human evolution. This discovery compelled scientists to return to the site and dig deeper into even older sediment layers, in hopes of uncovering more missing pieces of our prehistoric puzzle. Their efforts paid off. In decoding more DNA, they found that 6% of the Denisovan genome matched that of modern Southeast Asians, a truly shocking revelation. How could genes from an ancient human group living in remote Siberian caves still be present in people across modern Southeast Asia? The only plausible explanation is that Denisovans either migrated or interbred with the ancestors of today's Asian populations, leaving a lasting genetic legacy. Based on this evidence, academician Anatoly Derevyanko, the lead researcher, arrived at a bold yet well-supported conclusion. The Denisovans were a subspecies of modern humans. They were not outliers in the evolutionary chain, but rather an independent branch that contributed directly to the human species we know today. And the story doesn't end there. In a nearby cave, archaeologists also found remains of Neanderthals, living during the same era as the Denisovans. This challenges the long-held belief that Neanderthals did not live that far east. Not only did they coexist, but genetic evidence shows that these two groups interbred, producing hybrid offspring, a process scientists now refer to as interspecies mating among human groups, and a crucial part of our evolutionary story. From these findings, a new theory of human origins has emerged. It is no longer a simple journey out of Africa as the monocentric model once proposed. Instead, academician Derevyanko has introduced a polycentric theory. There were at least 4 parallel evolutionary lines that contributed to modern humans: Homo sapiens in Africa, Neanderthals in Europe and Asia, Denisovans in the Altai region, an Eastern group, ancestors of modern-day Chinese populations. This theory not only changes academic understanding, but also reshapes how we see ourselves, highlighting the complexity, diversity, and blending of genes in every cell of our bodies. The discovery of the Denisovans is considered the second most important scientific breakthrough, just after the discovery of the Higgs boson, because it reveals an entirely new branch of humanity and overturns long-established ideas about human development. In recognition of this monumental contribution, on June 12, 2013, academician Anatoly Derevianko was awarded the State Prize of the Russian Federation for his outstanding role in rewriting ancient history. So what do you think? Could it be that humanity did not originate from a single source, but rather from a far more complex web, where diverse bloodlines merged in the shadows of prehistory? 200-year-old shipwreck discovered on a Florida beach. You may have heard the saying, every wave that crashes on the shore not only carries the salt of the sea, but also the stories buried for centuries. And now, let us dive into one such mysterious tale, the story of a shipwreck over 200 years old, recently discovered on Crescent Beach, Florida, following a fierce tropical storm. It all began after Tropical Storm Eta, a powerful storm that swept through Florida in 2020, left behind severely eroded coastlines. At first glance, it seemed to be just another natural consequence. But then, as the sand was washed away, history began to speak. Rotting timbers and ancient structures emerged, not just debris or driftwood, but remnants of an old ship, hidden for centuries beneath the deep sands of Crescent Beach. And as fate would have it, the first to stumble upon this remarkable sight was a local resident named Mark O'Donoghue. During a routine morning walk along his familiar beach, he noticed strange wooden planks protruding from the sand, and had a gut feeling that something wasn't quite right. He quickly contacted Chuck Meade, director of the Maritime Archaeology Project at LAMP, a group dedicated to researching and preserving maritime heritage in Florida. Wasting no time, the LAMP team arrived at the scene. With great enthusiasm and years of maritime archaeology experience, they began excavating, documenting, and analyzing every piece of timber and every rusty iron nail. Based on Meade and his team's initial assessments, the structure most likely belonged to an American merchant ship from the early 19th century, a time when coastal trade in the U.S. was thriving. Did you know? More than 7% of documented historic shipwrecks in Florida are linked to coastal merchant vessels, small ships that played a vital role in transporting goods from one port to another along the Atlantic coast. One name in particular caught LAMP's attention, the Caroline Eddy. According to records cited by CNN in late August 1880, the Caroline Eddy departed from Fernandina, carrying a cargo primarily made up of lumber, bound for New York. But fate had other plans. A nighttime incident caused the ship to wreck and sink, and nearly a century and a half later, its remains have finally been brought into the sunlight once again. Meade stated, "Everything they found, from the wooden planks and structural braces to the iron fittings, matches remarkably well with American merchant vessels from the early 1800s that we've studied. Determining the exact age of the ship remains a long and meticulous process, but each small clue is coming together like pieces of an ancient jigsaw puzzle." Though Eta appeared to be a storm of destruction, it unwittingly opened a window to the past, allowing modern society a glimpse into the maritime history of our nation. And within every layer of sand swept away, there wasn't just decaying wood or rusted nails, but also the spirit of sailors from centuries past, those who once set sail, braved the waves, and now rest forever beneath the ocean floor. Extremely rare fossilized marine creatures turned to gemstone. Mr. Zhang, a resident of Tatish Town in Guizhou Province, China, was simply digging a small pond in his yard one morning to store water. But fate had other plans. His shovel struck some unusual small stones. At first he thought they were just pretty colored pebbles, so he gently picked them up and set them aside, completely unaware that he had just touched a piece of Earth's ancient memory. As time passed and he kept digging, more stones with similar shapes and colors surfaced. Not only were they beautiful, but under sunlight they had a shine and texture reminiscent of jade. News spread like wildfire. The story of old Zhang digging up gemstones became the hottest topic in the village. Curious residents flocked to his home, all eager to see the treasure unearthed from beneath the ground. The more people looked at the stones, the more baffled they became. They didn't resemble ordinary rocks, nor were they quite like traditional gemstones. Suddenly, someone in the crowd remarked that the shapes looked very much like animal bones. The comment struck Mr. Zhang like lightning. He began to wonder, Could these be the remains of some ancient creature? Unable to answer the question on his own, he contacted experts for analysis. And that's when the truth slowly came to light. Archaeologists and geologists who arrived at the site were astonished. After a series of rigorous tests, they confirmed that the gem-like stones were in fact fossils of ancient marine creatures, organisms that lived tens of millions of years ago. What made the discovery even more remarkable was that these fossils had reached a state known as gemification. Over a prolonged geological process, minerals had infiltrated and crystallized within them to such an extent that they became glossy and translucent like real jade. This discovery shocked experts not just because of the rare beauty of the specimens, but also for the story they told. These fossils serve as vivid evidence that Tatish, now a mountainous area, was once part of a vast ocean. Over millions of years, tectonic plate movement uplifted the land, forming mountains and pushing the sea away, burying all traces of the ocean deep underground. According to experts, for fossils to reach this level of gemification, they must be preserved in an extremely specific environment, free from decay, shielded from climate effects, and exposed to consistent mineralization. That makes these fossils not only scientifically invaluable, but also highly prized by collectors and the market alike. One ordinary morning, one small pond, one farmer, and together they created an unbelievable but true story. You see, sometimes the most precious treasures aren't hidden far away. They're right beneath our feet, just waiting for the right moment to be discovered. And who knows? Perhaps you, the one watching this video, might be the next person to uncover a trace of history in your very own hometown. The time-traveling cup, found in a 2,000-year-old ancient tomb. A cup with no elaborate decorations, no gold or jewels, yet it holds a mystery spanning more than 2,000 years. And it all began with a completely accidental discovery, when a brick factory worker in Hangzhou, Zhejiang Province, China, was digging and noticed several strange holes beneath his feet. In October 1990, workers in Shidong village were collecting soil and kiln bricks when they stumbled upon something unusual. Suspecting the presence of an ancient tomb beneath the factory grounds, they reported it to the local authorities. Soon after, a team of archaeologists arrived and began excavations. They confirmed the site was a tomb dating back to the Warring States period, around 250 BCE. Inside the tomb, valuable artifacts such as jade and gemstones suggested that the tomb's occupant had a status of great importance. However, because the site had previously been looted, the person's identity remains a mystery. Yet it was during the process of collecting and cataloging artifacts that experts made a discovery that stunned everyone. A sparkling object lying right on the surface of the ground. It looked just like a modern glass cup. At first, many believed it was simply litter left behind by tomb robbers after drinking water. But fortunately, the archaeologists didn't overlook this detail. Upon closer inspection, they discovered it was not a modern cup at all. It was a naturally formed crystal glass cup crafted over 2,000 years ago during the Warring States period. The cup stands 6.1 inches tall, with a rim diameter of 3.1 inches and a base diameter of 2.1 inches. It bears no ornate designs, yet the entire surface emits a captivating amber glow. What's truly astonishing is that the cup was carved from a single piece of natural crystal, a feat that, even with today's modern techniques, could take artisans years to accomplish. It was meticulously polished, especially on the interior, raising a compelling question among experts. What kind of techniques did ancient craftsmen possess to create such fine detail? Another layer of mystery lies in the material itself. No known crystal mines in present-day China produce crystal of the same clarity and purity as the one used to make this cup. Geologists from the Zhejiang Provincial Bureau of Geology and Mineral Resources speculate that the crystal may have come from an extinct mine, or perhaps it was a tribute imported from another land. Today, the crystal cup is officially recognized as a national treasure and is prominently displayed at the Hangzhou Museum. It stands as vivid evidence of the extraordinary craftsmanship of artisans over 2 millennia ago, and remains one of the great unsolved mysteries in Chinese archaeology. In 2002, the cup was formally added to the list of cultural relics prohibited from being taken abroad for exhibition, due to its unparalleled cultural, historical, and technical value. These kinds of archaeological discoveries remind us that history still holds countless secrets waiting to be uncovered. Such findings don't just reshape our understanding of the past, they also open up fascinating new questions about the evolution of human civilization. One thing is certain: in the future, there will be even more astonishing discoveries that challenge what we think we know and inspire us to keep searching for the truth. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next amazing story. For now, goodbye and see you next time.